So, Kill Night is going to be releasing in around an hour or so from the time you see this video. And before we get into this one, I want to give a massive thank you to Keymailer for hooking me up with the key to play the game early. So what Kill Night is basically, it's an isometric action shooter. It's like a top-down shooter. And what this game does is it rewards aggression, because you get some games where you have to be stealthy. This one requires you to move around all the time and push up in the enemy's faces, otherwise you're not going to get very far at all. It's incredibly fast-paced. What I really like about this game is they don't chuck you in and just expect you to get on with it. They have a whole list of tutorials ranging from easy to expert. They will show you the ropes and you can get every single tutorial done within 5 minutes. So within 5 minutes, you can have all the tutorials done. You'll have an understanding of the basics. You can get in and play your game. And basically what happens in Kill Night is you go into a layer, so basically you go onto a map and you have to survive against the enemies, and you have a bunch of different ways you can play. You can use sword attacks, which will also build up your heavy so that you can use like your starting weapons, a shotgun. You can use your normal gun, and there's also like an absorbing mechanic, because basically you're going to get these shard things to drop when you kill enemies, and they're going to build up this power that basically releases this massive like wrath bomb sort of thing. So there's lots and lots of different ways to play. I am a huge fan of basically using your like gun, and what you can do is you can get a buff when you reload and you time it properly. There's basically going to be a different color part of the bar, like the reload bar, and if you do the perfect reload, if you do it whilst pressing the melee button, which will be X on an Xbox controller, you're going to release like a really powerful sword attack. If you press your right trigger, which is the shooting button, if you press that to get the perfect reload, it's going to basically overdrive your pistol and make it stronger. Like your weapon that you're using, your gun, is going to make it stronger until the next reload. So if you keep chaining it together, perfect reload after perfect reload, you're going to have an overdriven, powerful pistol or whatever gun you're using. It's going to be a lot more powerful for a long time. And then my absolute favourite, because in order to heal in this game, because you will die very quickly if you're not careful, the healing mechanic is done through the Wrath Blast. So basically, you have to go around collecting the red orbs or shards that drop off enemies. They're going to build up a meter. Then you hold down your right bumper to like aim the Wrath Blast, and then press your left trigger to release it. And when it kills enemies, instead of just dropping the red shards, it drops green ones, and they are health shards, so they are how you heal in this game. So the way I like playing it is I'm using my gun, and every time I reload, for that perfect reload, instead of right trigger, instead of X, I'm pressing RB. What that does is it uses an absorb mechanic, and it basically pulls all the red shards towards you, and you can do it every single time you reload. And that way it builds up your Wrath Blast quicker, and you can release that, and you can get health back. So it's quite good for survivability, not so great for being offensive, which is kind of what this game's about. I would much rather like not worry too much about my health and just keep doing the right trigger reloads to get the overdrive pistol. But basically what you do is you survive against the enemies, your power is going to build up as you are playing through the run, and when that does increase, your movement speed and your damage are going to buff. So basically there's lots of different ways to become even more powerful in this game. And one thing I really like about how this is set up, because at first it's going to feel like you're on a really small map, but what happens is after you've killed the wave of enemies for that essentially floor within the layer, it's going to take you to the next floor, and you basically keep killing the enemies. You're going to have stronger like elite enemies come in. When you get to the second map or second layer, you're going to have like boss type enemies come in. So things change up in the game as well. It's not always the same enemies and stuff. And eventually over time, roughly around 8 minutes or so, depending how fast you are going to get to the end. And sometimes it'll be lasers, it'll be spinning discs and stuff. There's quite a bit of variety in the enemies that try and attack you. And the lasers you're going to have to dash through, because you do have a dash mechanic as well. And after around 8 minutes or so, you'll be at the end of the level, and when you've killed the enemies, it'll tell you like kills remaining. It starts, I think the counter starts at 100. Once you've killed those enemies, that is that run complete. You've successfully completed the run, you get your score and everything, and you are back to the main menu and you start all over again. However, there is a full-blown arsenal that you can use in this game. Different weapons, different armor, and what happens is you're going to get this, I'm going to say currency, you'll see it at the top corner of your screen. Every time you complete a run, you're basically going to build up some of this currency. And if you want to unlock, say you want the next weapon for your character, you can spend like 2,000 or 3,000 of this currency. Like there's different prices and stuff for them. However, you don't actually have to spend any of that currency. You can save that for if you get stuck on one of the challenges, because to unlock things for your arsenal, you have to complete a challenge. So you might get challenges like collect 75 health shards during a single run. There's one that I've tried a few times now and struggled every time with, but it's to build up essentially a 999 combo in a single layer, so a single run. And I get to around 400 or 500, and then because it's a combo meter, basically the timer on it runs out, and my combo resets to 0. So a little bit frustrating with that one. But you may also have, with the second armor, for an example, to get the third armor, what you're going to need to do is dash into 75 enemies, because dashing into the enemies with the second armor set is going to deal knockback and damage. So you can actually kill the enemies with the second armor equipped, and it's actually stronger armor than the first armor you start the game with. So you've got your weapons, you've got your armor, you've got challenges to unlock more, you've got a currency if you're stuck on a challenge and you've done enough runs and saved up enough currency, you can unlock it without the need to use a challenge or complete a challenge. And you just go through different layers. As I said, they're essentially different maps and stuff. You're doing run after run after run. There's leaderboards and everything. There's different difficulties you can play on, which, for an example, if you do the basic difficulty, you're not going to get any bonus. If you do the medium one, you'll get a 10% better score. The hardest difficulty, or the hardest one that you have at the start of the game, you'll get a 20% bonus. And then there's a fourth difficulty that you need to unlock through playing the game. But not only that, looking at the Steam store page, they also mention dive into 7 mode. And what that does is it combines all 5 layers into one extended arena challenge. I'm not entirely sure how to unlock that, but I will say that if you are playing that, expect a hard time, because as you're progressing through the different layers or the different maps, each one gets a little bit more difficult. So to answer the question, is it worth playing Kill Knight? Absolutely yes. This is a brilliant game, well put together. Tutorials are nice, quick and easy to get through. They give you a decent understanding of the basics of the game, and then the game itself. I wasn't enjoying it too much at first, but after a few more runs I started getting the hang of it, because it's very, very fast paced. You will die incredibly quick. So it's just one of those things where practice is not necessarily going to make perfect, but over time with more practice you will get better at the game. Then after a few runs I started doing better, and then I started actually completing runs and getting faster and faster with them, at least on the first layer. The other layers, yeah, they're a different story. They get a little bit tougher, changing the difficulty and stuff mixes it up. The enemies are different, so it's changing your tactics and trying different things from your arsenal and stuff. But yes, if you like the idea of a game like this one is definitely worth playing. I've had an absolute blast with it. A massive thank you again to Keymailer for hooking me up with a key to play the game. And on that note, we are going to leave the video there. Let me know your thoughts and stuff about this game in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.